I'm Evan Kaplan. Welcome to my presentation on Kendrick Lamar, a lyrical composer. All right, starting off with some context, hip-hop is a popular music genre known by millions of people. It's historically been used for a platform for artist expression and social change, with songs like 99 Problems and Fight the Power, highlighting important social justice movements in American history. It's also been used for African Americans to express themselves and their culture. Sims found that hip-hop is commonly used as a tool for artist expression and lived experiences. My next piece of context is about Kendrick Lamar, which is the rapper I'll be focusing on today. Kendrick Lamar is an American rapper who was born in Compton, California, a neighborhood in Los Angeles commonly known for its poverty and crime rates. He's known for his virtuosic song collections, unified by their vernacular authenticity and rhythmic dynamism that offers affecting vignettes capturing the complexity of modern African-American life. And that's a statement by the Pulitzer Prize Committee. So a little bit more about him. He focuses on taking a storytelling approach to his music. He focuses a lot about his life growing up in Compton and later on in his albums and their themes. And he's an accomplished storyteller, which is proven by his 16 Grammy Awards and one 2018 Pulitzer Prize. So he also works to promote the African-American experience and relate to his viewers. So for my first literature review, I wanted to focus on something about song and album comparisons. So my first study that I used was a comparison of themes and narratives of K-pop artist Min Yoongi's translated lyrics. So in the study, they used an inductive coding system to discern themes through lyrics that appeared in the songs of 2 of Yoongi's albums. Overall, the thematic analysis revealed that the overall themes of the albums were very similar, but there were differences in the most prominent vocabulary themes used. So this study overall proves that albums could share similar themes, and it contributed to my research through that. So here are a couple tables from the study. They used an inductive coding method to highlight vocabulary words that fell under certain larger themes, and then you compared those themes across 2 albums. So you can see in Yoongi's study that there are similar continuities and changes within the themes, such as the themes in First Love of being lost and sort of childhood contributing to the themes of identity in The Last. So my next literature review was hip hop as a device for cultural expression for African Americans. I used to study the intertextuality and translations of fine art in class and hip hop culture. So a little bit of background on hip hop. It evolved as a cultural counterposition in New York City. It was a cultural counterposition to the socio-politics and the urban conditions in the 1970s. Destitution, contextual displacement, and the cultural values of the non-white diaspora were the driving forces behind hip hop. And at first, graffiti was used as a political tool in the beginning of the movement of hip hop, but it later merged with the practices of DJing, rap, and b-boying, which is more commonly known as breakdancing. So this led to my gap. My personal interest in rap allowed me to discover the gap in this research. And this gap comes with Lamar's focus on storytelling. As I just mentioned, the study comparing the 2 albums was done on K-pop, and studies comparing 2 albums were a little bit more common with music genres such as K-pop or like regular pop, because that's lower tempo and easier to discern words and phrases. But rap is commonly not really compared because it's higher tempo. Sometimes it's harder to discern what the artist is saying. But my gap is with Kendrick Lamar, and as he focuses on his storytelling and more vocabulary and diverse themes, it's easier to be explored and compared for themes and vocabulary. So this led me to my research question, which is, do the lyrics of Kendrick Lamar's albums Down and Good Kid, Mad City share thematic similarities? So a little bit of background on the 2 albums I chose. The first one is Good Kid, Mad City, which describes Kendrick Lamar's experiences growing up in the Compton neighborhood in Los Angeles. It details like his sort of childhood and what themes he encountered. And the second one I used was Down, which is a little bit more of an internal introspective album that details Kendrick's struggle between good and evil. He does this through the persona of Kung Fu Kenny, which is a fake character or alter ego that he uses in his music. So for my process, I imported the lyrics from his songs from Genius, which is a song sharing site. I uploaded all of them from Good Kid, Mad City, and Down into MaxQDA. I left out interludes and skits because those don't really contribute to the overall theme of the music. And I used MaxQDA, which is a coding software, to code and organize my themes found in both albums. So my process went something like, I would import the lyrics into MaxQDA. I read and listened to the lyrics of the song to sort of gain more insight into the tempo and tone that Lamar used in his music. And then I categorized which words were the most important and appeared the most in the album. I grouped them together. Then I disseminated those words into larger themes made up of groups and codes. And then MaxQDA also has a paraphrase function, which allows you to write down and sort of group your analysis. And then I would discuss the common themes between both albums. So going on to the first album, which is Good Kid, Mad City, this, like I just said, it details Kendrick's experience growing up in Compton. And then these are the words in this word cloud. These are the most commonly occurring words in this album. And I was able to group these into larger themes. The most prominent themes I found were substance and vices, with words like money and weed and smoking, denoting common physical substances or vices. I also found places, such as New York, which is where rap and hip hop emerged, New Orleans, Compton, which is where Kendrick grew up, and the world. I then found certain nods to people with Kendrick, Jesus, Sharon, and God. And then I also found derogatory or violent words growing up, such as bullets, chopper, gun, screwed, shots, and kills, which all refer to Kendrick's unfortunate upbringing in the city of Compton, which I mentioned has a high crime rate, and these are often things that he would observe growing up in a city like that. Finally, I found emotional words such as feel, love, tired, and respect. And then going on to down, I found some similarities. My thematic groupings were emotion, places, identity, religion, and violence. So I then would go on to compare these two albums here. So in my analysis, they yielded some similarities with continuity of themes like emotion, religion, violence, and setting being some of the most common. Those themes shared the most common vocabulary and the words that appeared the most in both of his albums. Going on to my limitations. So the songs are up for a subjective interpretation. Anyone can interpret these songs in their own way. There's no real objective way to look at the words that Kendrick Lamar spoke and sort of determine a clear theme. So it means it's subjective. And in some songs, he included references to his other albums, which I was not able to include in the study, so that sort of took away from the overall understanding of both albums. So for future research, I believe this study allows for further comparisons of Kendrick Lamar's albums. You can compare up more of his albums, such as To Pimp a Butterfly and Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, to sort of find more of thematic depth. And it also allows this opportunity to be explored with other artists who use storytelling in their music to sort of compare those themes and find similarities and differences. And yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Evan. The panel's got a few questions for you, and then we'll wrap this up. So for the first one, tell me about your initial exploration of the scholarly conversation and how that ended up leading to your final project goal.
So yeah, I knew I wanted to do an album comparison the whole time. And when I was sort of delving into the initial scholarly literature, I found that people most oftenly compared albums from other music genres that weren't rap. So one of the studies in my literature review was a comparison of K-pop music. I found comparisons of I even found comparisons of opera music, K-pop, and regular pop. And this led me to wanting to explore rap, and that's why I chose Kendrick Lamar as my rapper, because he focuses more on storytelling, and that's sort of the gap I was able to find.
Okay, terrific.
My question would be, what are the real world implications or consequences related to your findings?
So I believe that you could take this study and sort of use it to discern thematic growth. So over the course, so these albums were published 5 years apart. So certain events or happenings in Kendrick Lamar's life could have contributed to him sort of writing different lyrics or changing his thematics. It's it reveals thematic growth and depth, and I feel like you could use that to sort of discern how events in an author's life lead them to change their themes and sort of contribute to their complexity.
Thank you.
And then as a final question, if you could revisit your whole process, like you were going to start over again with the same thing, what would you do differently and why would you change them?
So I think I would want to include, I was not able to include interludes or skits or intros because those don't really offer as much sort of musical value, since they don't usually use music, they're more spoken word. But I feel like if I was able to include those, they're more full of, as I said, just spoken words. So you can include more themes there. You can use just more vocabulary and contribute